like to see most of the human race killed off because it is unworthy. It is unworthy of the gift of life.
I don't care what society thinks. They're nothing anyway. They're no better than me.
Until we hear the safe word, we will not stop.
Have you ever thought what it would be like to see a person's head amputated? Think of things so horrible that the human mind cannot imagine them. See all this and more when you see on stage, in person, that crazy mix-up.
I like being set apart from people. I like to be hated.
Safe Word with Jason Rouse.
I feel like Spirit's about to have a new location, the Spirit Halloween store.
Oh yeah, they'll think they'll do it at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, I think so.
It is set up for it, and honestly, realistically, they'd only have to paint it. Like you just go over the castle in black, because that's what Mitzi Shore did to the Comedy Store. It used to be Suro's, a gangster hangout on Sunset Strip.
Really? And
I guess after it was purchased and turned into a comedy club, that place was painted black inside and out. It really, really added to the grimness of show business.
I bet
produced
Buckingham,
a lot of good
Buckingham
comics.
Palace is haunted as hell, man. Like, you just imagine.
Oh, first of all,
There's all kinds of
what's
shit
in the
there,
basement?
dude.
You know there's dragon bones down there.
Yeah, you're lucky if that's all. They're dragging bones down
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah. It's look. Just think of look at all the dead
BDSM.
Indian kids they found in Canada behind these Christian churches. How many do you think corpses are buried under
What's
royal
going
property?
on in Canada? What did you
Oh,
say?
didn't you know about all this?
No.
Oh, we're not as nice
We
as
don't hear much as Canada.
You don't care. That's why.
We don't hear much about Canada
Yeah.
down here. Yeah, down in Texas. you
They
know?
gave us a bad accent, but also gave us free health care. So
Okay.
it's a kind of hot potato thing.
But you're saying there are vampires and shit down there, or what do you?
No, the
Oh,
Christians that took over the country, took all the native indigenous, what do you call here?
the Puritans took over like the
Yeah.
indigenous peoples.
So when they killed the kids and buried them behind the churches, well, they're having scans of these things because they're unearthing hundreds of dead kids in these mass graves behind the churches.
Poltergeisty, sort of like.
Remember when the girl comes out of the house and she goes, "Where is everybody?" My friend's a fireman, and a girl OD'd on pills, and her sister found her dead in the house. And when she had come home and found her dead sister, she was on the front lawn doing the poltergeist scream. Yeah,
That's tragic.
yeah,
That's tragic.
Being a fireman, so you get to do the pretend stuff, but it's usually a yin to the yang to the thing where you might be more of a sensitive, warmer person outside of the cartoony horror aspect of it. Do you cry in public?
I try as much as possible to cry in public because it's all about the discomfort and the people around me that I enjoy. So
Yeah.
if I can muster up some tears in public, you damn well better
Yeah.
believe I'm gonna try.
Oh, that was one of the things that I discussed with Jared. Was that I go, can you cry? And he goes, watch this.
Really?
And he turned into just a crying toddler. Right?
Dang, I feel like he was underutilized in the film. Then
I know,
you should have made him cry in the film.
I wanted to, but I didn't know how your rest of your workers were going to take me berating a disabled guy.
Yeah,
They were already kind of, everybody was very professional and cool, but we're comedians, and
Yeah, they
there's
don't-
nothing professional or cool about us.
Well, yeah, they don't understand. You guys have a relationship. Y'all know each other well, and you're not going to offend one another.
No.
It's like this world.
Well, they can't put it. Look at us. See,
Yeah.
you've been around us for a minute, but two people seeing. I had a stranger came up to Jared in my neighborhood and goes,
tried to have sex.
"That
with
man that you're with, is everything okay?" Oh my god! They thought I was killing Jared or something.
What were
Isn't
you
that
doing?
what? I'm protecting him. I was out with him so he wouldn't run off into traffic looking for ice cream.
Weird.
Yeah. the guy asked him if he was okay. Isn't that wild? Yeah, because next one, I look like I'm trying to get his soul.
Yeah.
Which a part of it is true.
Yeah.
I need a little extra.
Well, you guys have a very special relationship.
Yeah.
That out from the outside, externally, you don't really. If you don't know that, it just looks like you're berating him. So I can kind of see how the rest of our film crew would be like, "Damn, man."
Yeah. I was
is-
pacing myself, but yeah, I was really excited about that Abbott and Costello type of dynamic that we had, and in hindsight. There was more room for us to be like, but it wasn't about us. It was about the movie. And that's what I explained to Jared, is that this is the first time that you're going to be in the middle of a lot of moving parts. And do not make eye contact with the director. He's a real prick, and he's coming hot. He's a real asshole.
Guy's a real dick.
Oh, this guy is up and down. Everything's got to be perfect, or I'm not going home.
He was a pleasure to work with. I mean, obviously you are too. We do a lot of things with you, but I mean, that was my first time with working with Jared. I'd gone and seen his show, and it was really funny, and he was great. But he was just really quiet. And obviously, I had a lot going on that day in particular. We had about 50 extras or so, and so it was a pretty intense day, So I didn't get to really interact with Jared like I would normally on a more private set.
Sure.
But
no, I'm glad that you took a chance. Literally, you'd originally approached me to play the tour manager, and I felt I was a little more than I could handle at that time. And I didn't want to do anything disservice to the film. And but I also knew that you're also a guy who can make adjustments and make you've had to learn how to play the wind. And when it changes direction, you're dealing with, especially filmmaking. I don't even know how you do the theme park every year. Like that's
it's not so different, honestly. I mean, directing up, being the owner, which is also essentially the director of operations of the theme park. It's actually very similar to film, and you'll have like a giant actor base. It's actually more intense than film because you have 40 or 50 actors, and then you have sort of sub managers.
Zero control over the weather.
Right, and makeup effects, a whole team of makeup effects. You have wardrobe, and then you have your technical staff as well. And so it's very similar working at sort of these themed Halloween, themed attractions. It's very similar directing those as it is in film. Yeah, I find film a little bit more, I can grapple film a little bit more because it's a minimal staff. And although the day that we filmed you guys was a pretty intense day, as I was saying.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
You didn't look it. I've worked with a handful of directors, and I've never seen anybody as composed and as like, there was no erratic behavior out of you. Where I've seen people crying and stuff.
Yeah.
Usually because I'm in the scene.
Well, I don't know. Sarah and I watched your film, and I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I think it's right up
Spare
up
parts.
your
Yeah, it
alley.
was like killer, dude. I mean, it was great.
Again, the director of that film, I had known him since we'd met like early 2000s, and even one of the actresses had told me like day 2, she goes, "If you weren't the director's friend, you would have been fired by now." And I said, I know. I'm really I need a lot of time with material to get rid of all the comedic muscle memory, to become more of an actor, opposed to clawing at anything that will actually elevate my comedic voice. But I do love the opportunities to do these acting roles, but for the most part, I'd like to do something like, very, very deep, and something where I'd have to separate myself. Daniel Day-Lewis shit, where you kind of don't really come back from the character because you're so entrenched into it.
Right. Yeah, just something so counter to who you are.
Yeah.
That it's truly just something completely different. Then you could step outside of yourself completely.
Like, did Robin Williams actually do any villains?
Yeah.
With the photo booth?
Yeah.
Was it photo booth? Yeah, that was haunting.
Yeah.
And again, with Adam Sandler, Punch Drunk Love, and comedians tend to have a little more of a.
They have a dark side. I think all
Really?
comedians
Dark side,
definitely
huh?
have a dark side. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Actually, it's funny to me because where I come from, which is this sort of these dark arts.
Yeah.
Of
You manifest the
horror
things I'm
theme
thinking about.
parks. Yeah, horror theme parks and horror films and stuff. All that stuff is sort of intrinsically in a lot of comedians. And it's the same thing where you're sort of dealing with these problems, trying to deal with these problems in a very positive way to the world around with the world around you.
Yeah.
And so the artists that work at my theme parks, or maybe the actors or the writers in the films that we do, these sort of creative arts come from this place where they're just sort of trying to cope with some sort of mortality or whatever it is that you're trying to cope with, being a human being on a rotating rock, and in a positive way without going into some dark avenue, of drugs or whatever. I mean, not that that's bad, but it's so bad that it leads to, suicidal thoughts or horrible things like
It's
that.
100% comedy saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't have a place in anything, and I was comfortable with that. I got these fucking assholes. This is very unprofessional.
Just tell them to fuck off.
I did, but this guy's been to jail.
Did you drop? You dropped the soap and now he's.
He's a good-looking white guy who went to jail for a year for selling weed.
Oh yeah, I heard that dropping the soap is not really a thing, man. I was watching this thug on TikTok. He was like, 3 myths of going to jail. Dropping the soap does not mean anything. First off, if you drop the fucking soap and you pick it up and you bathe with it, you're nasty as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's off the ground. It's like literally with there's cum all over the place and blood. Looks like that.
Jail shit. Yeah.
Jail shit. Old stitches, Band-Aids.
Yeah.
No, it's not good. I've watched various YouTube documentaries about people who've spent long-term prison stuff, but there's way worse things than getting raped in jail.
Yeah, I can imagine there are definitely worse things to get raped in jail. As a matter of fact, if you're in jail long enough, probably getting raped is probably one of the few pleasurable
Helps your back.
one of the few pleasurable experiences that you can have.
It's
right?
called acupuncture in prison. Getting raped in jail.
It lines your electrical pulses, like just.
Yeah, that's what they tell you while they're yanking handfuls of your hair out of the back of your head and punch you in the ass. No kissing ever.
That's right.
No, I don't want to. I just want to do comedy. I don't want to get raped in jail.
Oh, okay. Duly noted.
Thank you.
Duly noted.
Guidance counselor.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Corey, you're not from Texas, are you?
I am kind of. Most of my family is from Louisiana. They're Cajun. And I was raised right on the border of Texas and Louisiana. So honestly, it's officially Texas, but more like Louisiana.
Okay.
Anything. Most of the people in my hometown were Cajun. They were from Louisiana.
I smell food immediately. As soon as I hear Cajun, I smell food.
Right.
I know that the food is fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
Right?
It is, absolutely. And my whole family are Cajun cooks. So, yeah.
The summer barbecues must have been insane because I've seen the various cooking shows where they have these giant stainless steel bowls and they cook all this shrimp, crawfish and stuff, and it's all seasoned. And is it jambalaya or something? Is that a Cajun dish?
That's certainly a Cajun dish. And then shrimp Creole and gumbos are all part of it. And so, yeah, that's I grew up eating so much of that. It was sort of standard operations for us back, and then when I moved, I came to Austin for graduate school in around 2000. And then I didn't really realize what I was missing, when I moved up here away from all of that great cooking. After 5 or 6 years, you start to realize it's like, damn,
I had a good thing.
Good shit.
Yeah. And it all, especially when you're away from it for, years at a time, you go back to that restaurant. You kind of walk by a bunch 100 times. You only went in once a year, and now you're like, I can't wait to sit down in that place and eat that menu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like that at a whorehouse. I have the same.
Just can't.
Yeah, I'll just say, hey, if you don't want to eat that, I will.
Yeah. It'll take your sloppy, spicy seconds. There.
Some homeless guy wiping his asshole with a license plate.
Yeah, that's definitely Creole. I would say, that's some Louisiana Creole.
Well, what's the Canadian connection to Louisiana?
Well, the story there, I think, is that during the French and Indian War, I guess the French sort of sailed south on either south on the Mississippi River or north, and so I think the north.
Yeah.
Of course, went up to Canada, and the South went down to. I mean, I'm not a historian, and the South just sort of kept cruising all the way down to the Delta or whatever.
I always thought what it would look like from looking at. You were talking about this rock in outer space, but if you had a chance to see all the populations moving over time lapse around and seeing where your grandparents come down, there's going to be some sort of geomap of where you get to see, because they're going to do the DNA thing. We'll all lock up. Everyone's going to be on catalog, and they'll be able to trace. They'll start to pinpoint timelines and stuff, and then we're back in the metaverse.
Yeah, that would be a pretty sweet animation, actually, to see the propagation of humans throughout history, and then to find out, the pre-human era, where they were with the dinosaurs and the aliens came down, and
You're going deep. I was on the other side of that fence. You're already back in dinosaur town.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see where my grandparents started fucking each other.
Oh yeah, well,
the great
don't stop there. They were probably your great grandparents were probably fucking dinosaurs.
You hope?
Maybe.
Really? Is this?
I don't know.
Oh, is there lizard people coming across the table?
Lizard people. Yeah.
That's a big thing now.
Lizard people.
People, friends of mine swear that there's lizard people, like shapeshifters types.
You think?
I don't.
Alex Jones.
No, but they're all drinking from the same tap. I'm not upset about lizard people.
No, I don't know. That's a big alien mythological folklore
Remember
based
V?
on lizard people. Yeah.
Remember V and the lady swallowed the rat? Oh, the newspapers went crazy. Look at me. And the newspapers went crazy because the magic lady ate the rat.
That's funny you're talking about lizard people, because I was just making up a story with Sarah, our actress, the other day. We have discussions, and I just make up wild, outlandish stories, and I was talking about lizard people that live underneath the earth.
Chud.
Yeah.
Remember that? Cannibalistic underground
Chud.
dwellers or whatever it was called? That movie terrified me. I'm telling you.
I forgot about Chud.
Really?
Yeah, I got to watch that again.
It's good.
It's great.
On acid.
I've never watched it on acid now.
I was a kid of VHS tapes.
Same.
And actually a beta. My friend's parents had a beta and a VHS, and they would have stacks of films, tons and tons and tons of movies, and they'd work shifts. So we'd be over at his house going through 10 horror movies a day, went from cable television to watching, slasher films over and over and over again. It really made an impression.
Yeah, and that was a golden era of horror. Too, where nowadays you have a lot of independent filmmakers, because the technology is there to where a lot of people can just grab a camera and go make a film. Like a 4K film.
Try and make Frankenhooker.
Yeah, right. I mean,
that's a huge undertaking with no help. No one's getting behind that.
Yeah, like the Kaufman stuff or whatever.
Lloyd Kaufman. I cornered him at the hotel in Montreal in the lobby.
Did you?
Yeah, he was doing a speech called from his book called "Make Your Own Goddamn Movie." He wrote a book about how to make your own independent films, and I stopped him. I nenever really bug out, but I knew I had to have this Lloyd Kaufman moment. I'm like, dude, I fucking love you. You're the greatest thing in entertainment. I was a late bloomer to the Toxic Avenger stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And my young brother's 14 years younger than me, and he'd show, you're gonna love this, and we'd sit and watch it over and over.
The band that we play in, the Immortals.
Trauma.
We're doing a trauma event, I guess, November the 5th, and he may be there.
Yeah,
maybe.
He's an older gentleman now, for
Linnea.
sure. He was an older gentleman when I met him 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's he's definitely got this sort of subculture attached to his films.
Yeah.
That especially in the horror genre, and I don't know if it's still staying alive or if the newer generation is sort of attaching themselves to it or not really, but it's definitely my generation and probably your generation, there's a whole subculture of Kaufman fans, like a demographic that's like, you know.
They have Trauma. A friend of mine in Vegas is the head of the Trauma Vegas chapter. Of Trauma. I forget what their title is.
They have chapters and shit.
Yeah,
what
like
is
in
this?
every major city
Terrorist
has
society?
part of their fan group or something like that. Yeah, so
Wow.
the fans are so nerdy and into it that they'll organize all the back end of it. Like we'll set up these events for you. They're fans. They're actually, you know, probably helped them a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm sure.
All
yeah.
those cameos in all his films and stuff. Those are you don't get.
If you
know.
go back and watch those films now, at least me, it's like, oh, they're so bad. But obviously, they were meant to be bad, and that's what made them good.
Yeah.
You know, even then, at that time,
It's
but-
wine of movies. It just gets better with age.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Marissa Tomei was in The Toxic Avenger.
Marissa,
Marissa
Tomei.
Tomei?
Look at both of us. Marissa,
Really?
As a background actress in a towel walking through the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you had to
Oh.
pull up your IMDb and look at his starring roles and background actresses, it'd be impressive. You know, there'd be a laundry list of.
Well, he'll come to this Austin area quite a bit and do some filming for things.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He's still active. I've kind of dipped out over the last. Once podcasting became a part of my life, I don't really haven't deeped any gone into my old favorites that much.
I think the Austin area has definitely had a resurgence of film. Like when I first moved here in 2000, the city was offering tax breaks to big production companies, and so film was definitely a thing here. And then they quit that, and film moved to Louisiana, and then it sort of moved to Georgia. But recently, there's definitely a resurgence, and I think a lot of it is the technological side of film. You know, they have a couple new technological, like green screen places where they're doing things like The Mandalorian now, and they're filming a lot of The Walking Dead out in Bastrop area.
They do Mandalorian here. That makes sense. A lot of the desert landscape type
yeah.
stuff for sure.
It's killer, man. We have a friend, director, Boudreaux Partita, who went to the grand opening of this new facility here, and it's this incredible giant sort of digital. It's not a green screen. It's more of virtual reality
Curved floor
situation.
stuff. Yeah,
And so they're just inserting your ass in the middle of some planet somewhere. You know,
seamlessly.
Yep.
It's really wild. They really knocked Mandalorian like right out of the park.
I know it.
It was so good.
it.
So good. I had to really look at all the rest of the Star Wars movies and go, you know what? This series is better than a couple of those by a lot.
Yep.
And Jon Favreau, did he write and direct?
I don't know if he wrote. No,
Because
Maybe.
Boba
He
Fett
may have.
wasn't very good.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as The Mandalorian.
No,
think
I
either.
don't know how they missed that because they had all the same chemistry and everything.
Yeah, it was a similar vibe.
Yeah, but it didn't. I don't know. It didn't stick for me. I actually just rewatched the Cube.
It's been a long time since I've seen the Cube, and there's like 3 of them, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
like Hypercube, and those movies blew my mind. You know, like especially as they're a great example of like this
Minimalist?
an anthology that sort of at first you don't know anything about where they are, and then as they move into this anthology. Or sort of not a franchise, not anthology, but more of a franchise in this Cube 2 and 3, and you start to learn more about why it's there and the engineering of the system, and it's like, but it was so fascinating. That movie's great. All of them.
And I looked at it again. I'm like, the set. How clever.
Yeah.
You wrote a movie inside a movie. It's really, really interesting. I don't know what the budget was for that, but I don't even know how to structure that, but I could see that they're really dealing with the set. I would love to see how they shot it because it is in a box, as you're curious. So they've got open ends with the cameras. You probably look at that as a director. You're like, how the fuck did they do that? And how can I do it half the price?
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for those who don't know, like the Cube it's a movie about these people that sort of wake up entrapped in these rooms that are cubes.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah, and every face has a door out, and so but they have to figure out how to get the door open, and then going to the next room, and they're booby trapped, right? So it's like anything can happen, and they're deathly booby trapped.
Yeah.
And some of them aren't so bad, and others are just will kill your ass. So.
Well, I freaked out a little bit when I saw it because the opening scene, you know, the guy who gets cut with the wires? That's my dad in Spare Parts, Julian Richards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like, that's a guy. Yeah, I totally
Sweet.
slept on that. He's the first person to get killed.
Some of the most underrated movies ever, The Cubes, I think.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of them. I had a friend years ago that said, you have to watch these movies, man. You have to watch them. And I did. I watched the first one. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
How could I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that was the thing with like VHS tapes. There was physical stuff. You'd find another man's garbage is another man's gold. So somebody would have a recycling box with 50 VHS tapes. They threw out their kids' horror movie collection, and those tapes would last through anything.
Yeah.
So we just take up a whole library of all this new movies and stuff that we'd never even seen or heard before. A different thing. It's like comic books.
I'd like to get our films put on VHS, but it's harder than what you would think. Like I looked into companies to do that, and you pretty much have to rent or buy a VCR and sort of do it yourself. I wanted it professionally done.
Yeah.
Where there's a nice logo,
Packaging.
like the Black Quarry.
Yeah. Saran wrapped in, shrunk wrap.
Yeah, like old school shit, and there's just no companies that are doing that. And I find that weird because in the horror community, in that demographic, VHS is still, it's like records for audiophiles.
Yes.
They go and they like the nostalgia of listening to records. Well, VHS is like that for horror people. And yet I'm like, there's a whole business out there, dude, for somebody who wants to create VHS.
Cassettes have been making appearances over the last 4 or 5 years. I've seen some bands that really didn't have to release any music on anything other than digital that are putting out limited edition cassette tapes, which is cool. I don't know how many people have Sony Walkmans still, but I think a lot of kids went deaf because of those things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those Sony Sport Walkmans. Those yellow, it looked like, a tortoise shell. It was brutal. But... did you go
Chicken butt.
Did you go to Kyle Dunnigan? Do you watch his stuff? Oh, he does a thing where he bothers his mother. He's like,
Hilarious.
yeah.
Is he?
He's one of my favorite.
Honestly, I probably have
hilarious.
seen him. I just
Yeah.
don't recognize his
If
name.
I pulled something, you'd immediately be familiar. But yeah, he bothers his mother constantly. He's constantly bothering his mother. But
What does that got to do with? I don't.
oh, he's going, Mom, 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 Mom. And she's like, what? Chicken butt.
Oh, okay.
And she's
Oh,
like,
there was a
this
connect.
old
I was
lady.
missing that connection.
No, I should have explained myself.
It's like, what is he fucking with his mom about so much?
Oh, he's totally messes. He ripped down some fine art off the wall. Did you see that one? Oh, his mother had a very expensive painting in the house, and he pretends he's a idiot, and he starts, I drew some flowers on your painting. She's like, oh my God, that's a photo.
So she doesn't know that he's not. He's pretending he has some.
Now
kind of
he's
mental-
super famous.
Oh,
But in the
okay.
beginning, it was very early jackassy, hidden camera type stuff. But it's all done from his cell phone. Now he's doing all these face swap stuff. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
He just did a 9/11 documentary narrated by Sylvester Stallone.
What?
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah.
Gets out of the play. I guess that's more of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But what was Sylvester Stallone?
Adrian, it's 9/11. I should work on. I used to do a lot of impressions in the classroom, more to be disruptive. But I do have an ear for voices and stuff.
That was pretty good just then.
That's a pretty standard Stallone. It was 9/11. And we got to take it down.
Never forget. Adrian.
Yeah.
Had a stroke.
Yeah, I know.
You sound like you had a stroke.
I feel like I'm trying to push my own finger out of the way. Hello. No film school.
For me, no. I think running a theme park for 17 years was film school enough, and we started our production company, which is Horror Web Productions. You can go follow us on social media, and with the intention of doing films and stuff, and And we started off not really knowing anything about the film world, and that was 2016 or something.
Was that in mind for you as a long-term goal? Is I'm going to have this, not necessarily use the theme park, but I'm going to figure out how to use the theme park as a long-form tool to kind of figure out the beginning and the end of the stories, how the pieces all are moved together, because you've got the course of the month and the build up to it. So that is like a feature film.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's with the thing about that business is it's seasonal, and so it's hot, and when it's happening, man. And then after that, it's dead. And so, I just sort of looked at things like, what am I going to be doing for the other 9 or 10 months of the year creatively, in horror, and it just sort of made sense that film would be it, and that I've been directing these parks forever, so it was a very natural extension to direct over to films. Now, we did have to learn. At first, we did not have the technical team that we had now for the Black Quarry. The first movie was The Witch's Bargain that we did. And it ended up winning over 45 international awards.
I know. I kept seeing these notifications coming up that you guys had some prizes and stuff.
Very proud of it. And with that, the thing that I'm the most proud of is we started that film not knowing anything about how to make a film, you know. But when you don't know anything, you're not immersed in that. One cool thing about that is you're rogue, man. Like you're not trying to mimic something else, and you don't have that training. And so it's kind of like
rule book.
That's right.
You're making it up as you go along, and where it applies.
That's right. It's kind of like piano. Like you can sit there. I know a lot of classically trained pianists that can't write a song. Yeah. But they're incredibly talented and technically speaking, and but they have now there's so much rules and so much. They're hard to break out of that and to use that as a channel for your own creativity. And I'll say that we learned how to make a film in a technical way. The story and the creativity of our team is always there. We have a very creative team from the very beginning, even when it was small. It was extremely creative and very talented. All of us have creative businesses that we run that are very successful. And so
you guys are all very nice too. That's what Jared said. He goes, everybody's nice here. And I go, I know. I go, this is called being professional. You can't fuck around here. Everyone's focused.
We're told that a lot, actually. I find that very strange.
I think that's we're misconstrued niceness with passion.
Yeah.
I think you surround yourself with passionate people. We all got enough friends, but if we're all trying to get to the ultimate, Valhalla, a creative moment, you're going to have to need a bunch of soldiers that are willing to trot in the rain with you.
That understand compromise and a shared vision.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative vision. And, even as a director, like it's I don't make decisions on my own unless there's a stalemate and someone has to be able to make some progress. Then I will, and we'll move forward, and that's my job. But for the most part, we're a collaborative vision team because we have such wonderful artists and writers on our team that it's always the sort of the sum is always going to be greater, than the individual.
That's hard though.
Yeah,
it
is hard. It's very hard.
Like I really, I'm in awe of it because what you guys there's just too many pieces for me. I'm a stand and deliver. Like I don't even have instruments. That's another thing I got into comedy is I didn't want to pull a drum kit around.
Yeah, right.
Or any instruments.
Yeah. You could have been a singer.
I that was on the tables when I moved to Vancouver, but that was it. No, I didn't want to rely on other people and people for what you put it on the table and are trying to accomplish. I just know people are fuck ups, and some people drop the balls, and then the whole house of cards comes down because so and so didn't do X, Y, and Z, and that's held up the whole thing. Now that's cost us this.
Absolutely, and that's luckily our team was small and very responsible. In addition to being creative, they're all very responsible and adults. So we all recognize that we've all put in this time and effort into this thing, and so we're relying on one another. And I think that that film, The Witch's Bargain, sort of took off and did so well that other filmmakers in Austin saw that, and so our team tripled for the film that you were in, The Black Quarry. We had to triple the team, and at that point, what happens is it's a lot like Guar. You know, I was watching the Guar documentary.
Oh, it's so good. One of the best documentaries ever.
And I will say,
the Beatles one was good.
I feel like we're a little bit like Guar in the sense
Totally.
that Guar at the beginning was a theatrical band that said, you know what, we'll worry about the technical side of it.
Yes.
As later.
Yes.
But there's a lot of technical bands out there who's not doing, what there aren't is these theatrical, these really fucking cool theatrical, they're telling stories on stage and shit. And I kind of looked at it that way. Like, we'll learn, we're all smart. We'll learn the technical, or we'll hire the technical side out.
And it also, that documentary showed you of what pitfalls you might have in the future. Sorry to interrupt, but I really, that documentary is a very good example of what you do if you just want to do fucking cool shit with rad people.
Yep.
That was the bottom line. They lived in a factory. You know,
that's right.
That's a hard thing to do with a bunch of crazy people under the same roof.
And even Brock, at the end of it,
Canadian, by the way,
he had some regret. You know, about there was one point where I guess they were going to be signed.
Yeah.
And they wanted some creative. They had some creative constraints on them. And he was like, no, and they didn't sign.
Yeah.
And it was forever sort of, now after that, sort of this sort of passion project that no one could really ever make a huge living out of. And he sort of, I think there was, well, even he said there was some regret toward that. And, you know, we're in a little bit different position because there's actual money in film, you know, and music is a whole nother
monster.
thing. Yeah. And so, but I do think that we're a lot like that team.
100%.
Artistically and passionately driven by the things we do. And it's becoming aware, especially in Austin, and not just in Austin, but also in Texas, and some of these film festivals in Dallas and Fort Worth are now hearing about Horror Web and the things that we're doing. They've seen our films. They're just like, you know.
You guys are 10 years ahead of the curve.
I hope you're right.
I'm sure of it.
I don't know because I don't know what the curve is. We just are so busy.
Well,
we're just got our
you're
head
making
down.
statements, so you're part of the curve. Like you said, you've had doubled your crew since your last project. That doesn't happen to a lot. It's usually like, oh, we're gonna have another tough grind. I wonder who is going to be standing with us in this next war we're about to fight.
Yeah.
Where you've got all these people going, hey man, I do cool blood stuff. I moved here from so and so. I think you guys are cool. What you're doing? Can I get on board?
Yeah.
What do I do?
It definitely helps to be in Austin. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many incredibly talented people here. Technically,
It's great.
And
I fucking love it here. This city's so cool.
yeah, it's changed, and you can argue that it hasn't changed for the better through the years. But when you still come down and you still sort of compare Austin to the other cities, it's hard to compare it to any other city. It's still an amazing city. You know?
I've been to 25 countries. This is a top 10 city I've been in anywhere in the world. It's fantastic. And
Let's keep that on the wraps, man. People keep moving here and shit.
I know. You know, Rogan has a large reach, and he's very inspirational and motivating. People think if they just move somewhere else that it might happen for them, but you got to do something when you're here.
Musicians think that all the time, man.
Yeah.
Here in Austin. Oh, I'm going to come to Austin and make it big, you know? And it's like, you're going to come to Austin to realize that you aren't shit.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to come here. You're going to realize that there's so, like, half the city is more talented than you, you know?
And they're half the age.
Yeah.
That kid's 13
Yes.
and he crushes on a guitar.
Oh, first thing that I moved to Austin to go to grad school, but also I wanted to be a musician. And the first thing I did was go to 6th Street. And I'm not even shitting you, dude.
You got spanked.
I saw a 12-year-old. I wasn't even playing. I went to 6th Street playing the blues.
Yeah.
And it was
Thinking
just
pretty
like,
good. Pretty good.
holy shit, a
Yeah.
12-year-old. And you realize at that point.
Blind Chinese kid playing slide.
That's right.
At 11 years old,
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah, on downtown Austin, you know, and you realize it's really not about that, you know, and that's sort of, I think, what's driven our film team is that, you know, it's all about that antenna, putting out that antenna and connecting. You know, it's not about a technical ability as much as it is, can you write a good song that connects to people that they can relate to? Can you make a film that people can pull from or can entertain them? You know, that connection is vital. You need the technical ability to be able to deliver it, but you don't have to be a super technical person.
Yeah.
For that to be able to get that message
No.
across. People are extremely forgiving on the technical side if your content is connective.
Totally. I'm aggressively I can't do what I do without linking up with the audience. There has to be this connection, or I can't even
Fascia.
get away. What's it called? Fascia?
Fascia.
What's that?
It's
Sounds
the shit
exotic.
that connects like your muscles to your
Fascia?
dick, you know?
Isn't that tendons?
Isn't it connect your muscles?
Fascia is a casing around the muscles.
All right. I don't know. You guys got a corpse in the car we can drag out and peel it back a little bit?
I have some corpses not in the car, but
End of January.
they're at home in my bedroom.
Oh, yeah? Just some skin. I had mannequins in my house that used to scare the shit out of me when I was drunk. I'd forget they're at the end of the hallway. Like, Jesus
They
Christ.
keep things interesting
All the time. Yeah, especially when you're all fucked up, which I did a bunch. Anyway. Bat
We don't want to
skinny.
know what you did with your mannequins back at your house when you were
I know
all
my
fucked
friend's
up,
like,
okay?
why is the mouth drilled out and there's a half a chicken breast in there that's melting? I'm like, she's not ready yet.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. It's called Sleep with Your Eyes Open. But,
Chicken mouth.
October 1st, BatCityScaregrounds.com.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. September the 30th is our official first day. And
How many acres?
it is 15 acres of
15
fear.
acres of
15
fear.
acres of fear.
Fear.
Yeah. And it's last year was our first year. And we just took off. I mean, it's not my first rodeo. You know, I own another theme park in West Texas in the Wild West out there. And for, like I said, 17 years or so, this is our 17th year. So we came in hot into Austin.
Yeah.
And so the park, you know, is very highly produced and very immersive. And, you know, and we shoot films. I mean, that's how immersive the scenes are. Like a lot of our films are shot in there. We've recently shot a short called the Basic Witch, which was with our main actress Sarah, who plays Scara in The Witch's Bargain. She's also the hostess in The Black Quarry. We have a short that we shot this summer. It was kind of like a fun thing where we could sort of relax and have some fun. And she wrote a great little fun script. And after The Black Quarry was such an intense shoot, the principal photography was intense, everything. So we really wanted to just kind of lay back and have some fun with the short. And so it's really great story. And so that was all shot in Castle Orlok, who is an alien vampire who's come down to herald the end of the earth.
Yeah.
It's being destroyed to make way for a galactic, you know, pet shit area.
I love it.
And so we have a castle that's sort of retrofitted with the spaceship stuff, and with the spaceship coming down and shit. And the big stank is this galactic supreme evil that has issued Orlok the Defiler as an ambassadorial duty to go tell the Earth that, you know, your time is nigh, right? And so.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a pretty far out story. As a matter of fact, it is very gory. The story is very gory because, you know, he hates Earth. He hates humans. Earth is like the shithole planet in the universe, much like the story there, sort of parallelizing their story. And so our castle attraction is sort of the center and the focus of it's the sort of unbeating heart of the park there. And then we have Ancient Evil, which is dedicated to like these old school mythologies like Greek and shit, and then our 3D Clownocalypse, which is a dystopian future.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I think that might be my favorite because
Most people do. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I saw that and I was like, oh, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bright and a lot of
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it.
Well, our actor manager is the owner of Zombie Peep Show, who has this incredible horror fashion company,
Yeah.
and she does these heels and all this stuff, and she outfits Lady Gaga and like Oprah Winfrey.
Very cool.
And just
Oprah.
yeah, she did Oprah. You didn't know that?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, is it Whoopi Goldberg?
All right.
I'm not going to say what you were thinking.
I'm going to bring up my next guest,
I'm not going to say what you were thinking.
Tom Hanks.
Anyway, and so she's done some killer costuming and wardrobe
Yeah.
for the folks in that.
Very cool.
So it's full thing, man. It's great. It's a lot of fun in October. It's open 17 days, and then I'm back to music and film.
Cool. So do you look at your calendar year and say, look, I'm going to need various months to do X, Y, and Z, because you've got between film and running a theme park, those are two you cannot fuck around.
No,
there's no fuckery.
Yeah, and the theme park pretty much goes a lot of. It's really intense right now, of course, but we do build there pretty much throughout the year.
Yeah.
It's not like we have the luxury of just waiting for a month before we open. We do build throughout the year. It's just not this intense schedule. We just kind of go out there, and we can also have a good time while we build. But now it's more of an intense like preparation phase. But yeah, we lay out our calendar year, and most of the Horror Web film production team is also involved with the Scaregrounds, and so we're all busy at the same time, right? So we all kind of like springtime is our principal photography film time. And so, fall is largely a lot of preparation for the next film that we're going to do. And then we move into the summertime, which is editing and assembly and audio and coloring and stuff. So
great. And where are we going to see this next film at the end of January?
That's always a hard question, and I'll tell you why. It's because
just in the city.
Yeah. Oh well,
I want to go to the premiere.
There's a private viewing.
Oh, is there private?
We have to be careful because
if it leaks,
film festivals will not let you enter if you've had a public viewing of your film.
Wow.
So in order to get into Fantastic Fest, or if we're pie in the sky like South by Southwest or something, if they hear that we've already shown the film to the public, then we're axed immediately. It's not an option. And so we have a private viewing for the actors and stuff. I'll pay for it at a cinema. At this time I think it's the Austin Film School maybe or something. But it'll be a while before it's publicly available.
Yeah, no, I don't care about the public. I want to see it. I want to see it.
Now, the Basic Witch will probably be one of the first ones out. It'll go through a film circuit too, but because it's not tied to a feature length film, it probably it'll sort of go through its film the film festival circuit, and then after that we'll release it somehow so that to the public. But
and where can people find you online?
You can find Horror Web Productions, and then that's sort of
Corey.
Me personally,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, this is the thing. This is a director. It's like, I don't want anything to do with the public. Just go to buy my shit and leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could find me personally, I guess, on Facebook if you know me, But you should definitely follow.
Scara.
Well, Scara, Damsel of the Doom, of course. She's fantastic, and she has all the social media.
We would like to see most of the human race killed off because it is unworthy. It is unworthy of the gift of life.
I don't care what society thinks. They're nothing anyway. They're no better than me.
Until we hear the safe word, we will not stop.
Have you ever thought what it would be like to see a person's head amputated? Think of things so horrible that the human mind cannot imagine them. See all this and more when you see on stage, in person, that crazy mix-up.
I like being set apart from people. I like to be hated.
Safe Word with Jason